Hello, my friends. We are here for a live conversation with Joelle Hahn, the Brooklyn book doctor, a dear old friend of mine that I've been knowing for like a decade and a half, to discuss one, my new book deal, but two, kind of an informative chat around what it is to be signing a book deal here in 2022 and all the complexities that we face, to be signing a book deal and marketing oneself as an author in the spiritual wellness marketplace, which is, it has a lot of complexity for somebody like me who is countercultural in nature. And so there she is right now. Joelle is hopping on, and so let's get going. As soon as the Instagrams will let me. Great. Accept.
Hello. Oh, there we are. Oh, what? I can't hear you. What is going on? Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Yay, the satellite's connected.
All right.
And we are connected.
Hello, hello, hello.
Good to see you,
Hi.
friend.
Yeah, great to see you too. I love your backdrop.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And then we've got some really cool folks already hopping on to the live stream here. I know a lot of people couldn't make it. We'll be watching on replay.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
How are you
Yeah.
today?
Oh, I'm good. It's a fast time. Things feel like they're going really fast. And so I'm hopping from like one thing to another. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a little bit late here. But I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Thank you.
Oh, Elizabeth. Hey, Elizabeth. Nice to see you here.
All kinds of good folks.
Yeah. I love it.
So, yeah. So, where to begin?
Yeah, well, I think I don't know who thought this would be a good idea, but maybe it was me because I'm always interested in people's journey and their book journey and the realities of their book journey, as well as well, I think it's inspiring for people to hear what it's like, and also to just hear candid conversations about the book journey from people who are there. And I think your situation is so unique, and it's not unique, but it's so interesting
Putting it.
because of the choices that you're making in the situations that you're in. So I thought it'd be good to just chat about it, and give some insight. And I think just anything that we talk about is going to be interesting. So why don't we start, why don't you tell us about like your other two books and then how you got to this book?
Sure. Yeah, first, I just actually want to acknowledge, yeah, fast times indeed. Very particular context here in 2022, and maybe I'll say a little bit more about that
Yeah.
down the road. But yeah, so I am a psychotherapist in private practice. I've been teaching meditation for a long time, since way before I was a therapist. That's at the studio that I used to manage that I met
That I taught at.
in Brooklyn a million years ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then I have the profound privilege of having been scouted out, actually, several years ago to write my first book, The Monkey is the Messenger, Meditation and What Your Busy Mind is Trying to Tell You, which did really well, starred Review and Publishers Weekly.
Yes.
Reprinted in 4 different languages now. It's available in Russian.
Well, that's probably much needed right now.
It just cracks me up given the times, Yeah, there's so yeah, it's on a few different continents. It's been it's a book on meditation that has been reprinted in South Asia, which gives me a
That's
lot of
amazing.
joy. Kind of a full circle, sort of paradoxical situation. And then somehow within 2 years of putting that out, we managed to put out another little gem called Don't Tell Me to Relax, Emotional Resilience for the Age of Rage, Feels, and Freakouts, which had an unfortunate serendipity to it, which is that we wrote it expecting disastrous times with the 2020 presidential election. And we literally sent it to print the week that COVID lockdown started.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so a book that we expected to be relevant to 2020 became like relevant to the nth degree. And so like very unfortunate serendipity, but
Mm-mm. But it helped your book sales.
actually no.
No. Okay,
but it
no.
but it helped but it helps me feel really good about, just the utility
Timing.
of the book and what have you.
Yeah.
But I think 90 something like 98% of the books published in 2020 did like less than 5,000 in sales or something like that.
Wow. Wow.
We did more than that, but yeah, yeah. Despite a lot of people reading and what have you, I think a lot of people were reading um,
Ebooks.
ebooks and books that were published before
Yes.
2020, or there were like a select few that people were focusing on. But
Yeah. I think books that launched in the early part of 2020 got a little lost.
that too, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's interesting just how long ago that feels.
It does, right?
Right?
Yes.
And just in terms of the perception of relevance and what have you too, you know?
Yes. 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 Exactly. Well, it was still a good idea, and the publishers still liked you.
Somehow.
They came back around. So how did this
There's no
third book?
accounting for
There's
taste.
there's well, they see that you're doing good work and that you are relevant to the moment, and they like working with you. I think I'm guessing here. Um, so tell us a little bit about how this third book that you're about to write, or you've just started to write, how this third book deal came out about in the context of that. Like the first one did well, the second one had the pandemic interrupting its flow,
Hmm.
and now here's a third one on the way. So tell us a little bit about that one.
Yeah, I mean, Shambhala came to me. Shambhala Publications is who I work with, and they are family, quite frankly, at this point. And yeah, they came to me and just said, "Hey, are you thinking about doing another book?" And I said, "Well, I have five different ideas. One of which I had been developing through the pandemic and some change. Had been, just keeping little outlines and a million Google Docs of different notes on different topics that were germane. And I said, yeah, I've got a few ideas, cooking, and I'm just recovered enough from the last book cycle that I think I can consider this again. And I'll tell you, I'll try to keep this very brief, but an anecdote just about the creative process in general.
Mm-hmm.
Because what actually happened was, I'm a big believer in what Neil Young said, that ideas are written on the air, and when they visit you, that's not yours. Don't assume it's yours, and you better harness it because you're lucky that
Yep.
it's visiting you, and drop what you're doing. If you're at dinner, excuse yourself to the restroom. If you're driving, pull over. What if the news speaks? If they whisper in your ear, you harness that immediately. And I was literally in the shower, and I heard the words trauma focused meditation, and went, holy shit, that's it. That's the book. And I hopped out of the shower, myself in the towel, and sat down and started just taking notes on my phone. And 2 hours later, I was still there, just developing table of contents, and like all these concepts were hitting me one after the other. Like we're really ready for this confluence. Like we're culturally in a moment where trauma is understood in a brand new way and at the forefront of people's mind in a very important way. Spirituality is no longer carries quite, I don't know, the residue that it once did. In fact, according to Pew research and polls, uh, uh, spiritual but not religious is the most prominent religious identity in the United States. It's something like 26% of the population identifies
Wow.
as spiritual but not religious. But the trauma and spirituality, we're ready to bring these two together in a
Mm-hmm.
conversation. And so a week after that, I wrote to them and just said, "Hey, actually, I have this brand new idea. Here it is," and that's one we're developing now.
The shower is such a great place for ideas.
It's when we're doing something else, right?
Exactly,
That it,
exactly. When you're looking in the other direction, and then bam, here it comes. Yeah,
yeah.
that idea that the words are, or the idea is out there, and we just harness it. Actually, is something that the Yoga Sutras talk about.
Yep.
That this idea of vak, VAK,
Mm.
is language, but language as in meaning. And when we make meaning ourselves in our speech, we actually put a net around that meaning. We bring it into form. It already exists in a subtle form, but when we bring it into language and books, we bring it into form. So you like tapped into the cosmic vak, and it visited you in the shower.
Hmm.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have a notebook on me, but I'm going to sit down on my phone,
Yeah.
dry off, and type it up.
I mean, I can't tell you how many times that yeah, I've been visited in that way by whatever's going on there. And I
Yeah.
love that there's a great like uh, uh, yeah, that there's that the Vedas speak to it as well, you know, that there's ancient thought around this also. But how many times have we had like a really great idea and we didn't devote ourselves to it in the moment that it came, and then
Yep.
even 5 minutes later, or 5 hours later, 5 days later, we're like, what was that? And it's
Yeah. It's not quite there. Not
yeah,
quite there.
yeah,
Yes.
moved
Always carry a
on.
notebook. So they were like, okay, great. We love this idea. We want to do this. How did it? So was there a difference between, because I imagine you've had this relationship with Shambhala for two books, going to three books.
Mhm.
When they approached you for the first one, you had to write a proposal for that. Do you have to write a proposal for your third one? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so I've written proposals for all three. The first one, actually, I was talking to Sounds True in the very beginning. They were the first ones who cold called me and asked if I was thinking about doing a book, and I developed a proposal with them in the process of putting it out there, talking about it, and what have you. A friend, Lodro Rinsler, said to me, "Hey, do you want me to hand this to Shambhala Publications to see what they think, get some input?" I said yes, and in the end, Shambhala said, "We love this idea," and Sounds True said, "Well, we think this idea needs a lot of work," and so I said, "Hey, I love both of these publishing companies a lot, and what a beautiful problem to have, but." I'm going to go with the folks that believe in the idea as
Yeah.
is. And so, yeah, so then they actually approached me about the second book as well because they wanted a book to come out for the impending crisis of 2020 presidential election at the time, and thought I was the voice to do that. But I still had to develop the idea and present. A, like it was like a 3-page proposal.
Okay.
Whereas this time around, they said, uh, uh, you know, it's a unique idea. We want to hear more. I wanted a little bit more in terms of an advance, so that I could have the time to do the idea justice
Mhm.
in developing. And so they said, okay, well, if that's the case, we want to see this more fleshed out than the last one.
Yeah.
And so I had to meet that. And I think I gave them something like a 28-page, like very robust and a little bit scattered proposal.
Okay. But the last book you wrote, kind of going back and forth with your editor because you were on a super tight deadline, and you were down to the wire to get this book out. So it was like fast write, fast edit, fast write, fast edit, and maybe there wasn't time to develop that idea back then. But now you have a little bit more time.
Yeah, you remember.
I remember our
Don't tell me to
conversation.
relax. It was written in 2 months and edited
It's
in four. Boom,
crazy.
boom, boom. Totally crazy. So trying not to do that this time,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And you had some, I remember you were debating, because so I'm imagining you had the idea. Shambhala had said, we want something else, and then you had this idea, but then you were thinking, do I want to go back to Shambhala, or is this time to go elsewhere? Like you had that debate going on.
I had that moment, and I approached it because, like, here's the thing about Shambhala Publications. One, I want to say that they are contrasted legally and financially in every way from the Shambhala International Organization, that is a totally different entity and has now a lot of stigma to it. This is Shambhala Publications has been Shambhala Publications since the 1970s. Shambhala International has only existed since like the 90s or something like that. I just want to make that super clear. But two, they are a family-run business. They're distributed by Penguin, the largest distributor of books in the entire world. But they are a family business, and their mission statement is literally heart. We write the books that we think matter. We will invest in books that we think are going to do really well, but we also take the profit margin from that, and we will use it to put as much energy into the translation of a rare Tibetan text that we know is only going to sell 500 copies. Because we want that translation to exist in the world. That is the kind of mission that they are on, and that is rare, if not altogether unique in the publishing world. And so I felt like I had the kind of relationship with them where I could say, hey, listen, this is what I'm thinking about. I think it's time. It's book number 3. I don't know what we want to do here. They surprised me. And not only made me a very nice offer that was within the realm of what they could do, but also wrote me this very touching email. My editor, Matt Zeppelin, bless his heart, wrote me this email just like, we love you. We feel like you're part of the team, and just whatever we can do to support you. And we just like feel really strongly about the mission you're on and your voice, and supporting you in every way we can. Can we give you what you deserve? No, we're a family publishing company, but we're going to do our very best within our capacity. I just looked at that letter and said, you know what? Like, there are things that are more valuable, even in terms of creative process, meeting deadlines, practical matters, than money. And, my mission is also hard. My mission is also not marketing and not being out here trying to make a buck or compromising what I have to say to make it polished in some way. My mission is, I'm only here to speak the truth, and they're the only people I've ever talked to in the publishing world who said to me, if it feels yucky to you, don't do it. If your marketing starts to feel sleazy to you, don't do it. Ugh, we don't want you to do that. As opposed to other publishing companies who will tell you, we need your social media numbers to look like this. Do whatever it takes,
Right. There is that focus on what your reach is. I just want to underscore what you said, because I think it's really, really important that there can be other reasons aside from a big advance to signing with a particular publisher. So in this case, Shambhala is very mission aligned, and you are very mission aligned, and you've had good experiences editorially with them in the past. You feel supported by them. You feel like they get what you're up to. And they wrote you this letter that's saying, like, look, you're part of our stable of authors, and we value you so much. So, here's the reasons why we want you to stay with us. So I just want to underscore that for people, because I think going into publishing, if anybody watching this is thinking of publishing, there can be the sense of like, well, I want it to be a bestseller, and I need to have, X amount of dollars for the advance, and then it has to have this, and blah, 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 blah. And as you know, and I know from working with people on their books, the journey to authorship is always different than what you think it is. And so it takes someone at a mature level of authorship to choose for something that's not in the kind of obvious roster of reasons why you would have a deal. Like, they're not offering you your dream advance. But in this case, it's worth it because those relationships and the missions align. So that makes your life and your creative process so much better, so much easier. You have a lot of trust there.
There's that, and I'll just say this too. Like, I really believe in follow your heart and the money will come. But not just follow your heart as in what do I want, but like the depth of heart, the altruism of heart, the compassion of heart. Like, follow what you feel is your, where you are uniquely situated to make a positive impact, and be relentless in the authenticity of that. And that is, for me, that is where I've always known I will stand out, and where I actually don't need to worry about standing out because I already do. And I mean, I was thought I was destined to be a broke social worker in Harlem
Hmm.
for the rest of my days, and this all came my way because of that energy that I was holding. And that I didn't know would make me a standout or whatever. I was just like, I gotta square up with myself in the mirror. So I'm
Right.
gonna make sure I'm doing my life really, really well according
Right.
to these
Right.
rules. But
Right.
so to compromise on that now would be ridiculous.
Right. 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 But I can imagine it might have been tempting because, we're all tempted by like, can we reach more people?
Sure, sure, yes, but I mean, and granted, we all got to keep the lights on too. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with having a numbers approach. There's
Right.
nothing at all wrong with it. Or I want to reach as many people as possible. That's just fine. Um I feel like every wellness author out there kind of has a backdrop fantasy that I'm going to get on Oprah
Hmm.
with the first book. Like if I could just get on Oprah,
Totally.
you know, like blow the doors off in some way. And like I don't know that. I mean, the market is so saturated now. Like the wellness thing has blown up so much in the last 5 years,
Hmm.
especially. Um, that I don't know that I need to have some. How do I say this? Because it's not that I don't want to have a mega reach. I do want the specific things that I have to say to reach as many people as possible. But I also believe in the power of word of mouth, and I also believe in slow motion ripple effects, and I also believe in um, I don't know, like a Rick Hansen has become a friend of mine, which is wild because he's also a big hero of mine,
Hmm.
and he is very similar in that he wasn't going for gold; he was going for the most authentic ideas and interpretations and helpful utilitarian things he could put out there in the world. And his fourth book was a New York Times bestseller. His
Hmm.
fourth book. The other
Hmm.
ones didn't do too much.
Hmm. Hmm.
The fourth one, though, he blew up, and now he's this rock star in the neuropsych world.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Sometimes it takes a minute.
I think that's what I'm trying to drive at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, do you have a publication date, or is that too scary to ask or answer?
Yeah. So here's some complexity. Yeah, 2024,
Okay.
but before election madness ramps up.
Yes. Okay. Okay.
Everybody's distracted once again, and so that actually gives me a little bit of a stiff deadline in
Yeah.
terms of
Okay.
trying to be done by late spring this year.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Spring
Yep.
2023. Manuscript is done.
Manuscript. Rough.
Rough manuscript. Rough manuscript. Yes. So it's going to be a writing winter.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Uh,
Awesome.
I feel good about it. I write about the things I teach,
So
and so
there's,
there's a system in place,
yeah. Yeah.
and I teach
Yeah.
with further books in mind now as well.
Yeah. 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 Makes a
But
lot of sense.
yeah, so
Makes
teaching has become this laboratory of ideas and processes.
It's great. Yeah. It's an interconnected system. Yeah. I realized that I didn't introduce myself at the beginning. So for those of you
I
who are
had before you
wondering,
came on,
oh,
but
you did? Oh, okay. Okay. Great. Perfect. Perfect.
but
Um,
but you
uh,
have something coming up
yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to just say for those people who are listening or who are watching on the replay that my name is Joelle. I am Brooklyn Book Doctor, and I help people conceive of and write nonfiction books and book proposals. And actually, Ralph, I was just thinking about how we talked very briefly about your first book proposal at AMA, I think, one summer, one July. I remember like in passing. And I have a short, bite-sized 4-week course coming up starting next week, and it's called Develop Your Book Idea and Get Writing. And in this 4-week workshop, we are going to take those dreams that are here and focus them and come up with the idea that can be your book, and then really create the table of contents so that you can go forward and write your chapters from there. So if you're looking for a bite-sized something to step a toe in the water so you can get going in a focused way, so you're not writing everything you could ever write, you're writing actually a focus book, come and join us. There is an early bird special, save $100 if you sign up by tomorrow at midnight Eastern. And yeah, that's it. And I also have a signature course, which is a 6-month course. If you're really ready to dive in and do everything, that is also a possibility. But the bite-sized piece is a great place to start to get a launching pad from. So I will put the link in and then I'll send it to you, Ralph, if you want to share it in the caption so people can read more about it and check it out.
Absolutely. Can I give you props, actually?
Yeah.
2 things very quickly.
We'll take that.
One, I was floored to find out you've actually ghostwritten or played a heavy hand in writing some of my very favorite books in the wellness industry.
Awesome.
2, when Shambhala sent me that letter, I should have mentioned this before, they actually said, we caught wind that you might be interested in working with Joelle Hahn or already talking to her about doing so. We would really like it if you followed through.
No way.
Yes.
Wow.
They love you too.
I did not breathe a word. I swear. I don't know how that got out, but yes, that's amazing. That is amazing. You never know who knows about you. I'm very honored. That's very lovely.
Come on. Some of the things you've been involved with, so huge. Kimberly Ann Johnson, I mean, it's just like blazing trails left and right now.
Yeah.
Hey, you've played vital roles in the development of these works that are out there doing big things in the world. And so
it's my joy. It's my joy, and it's an honor.
Yeah. So I'll just say, since I mentioned Kimberly Ann Johnson's Call of the Wild, enormously important somatic trauma-focused book specifically for female-identified persons, and 7A Selassie's You Belong, such like that book is just like all heart.
Yeah. She's wonderful, a wonderful writer and a wonderful thinker and an important presence, both of them.
We all need help bringing those words and thoughts and what have you into the form that they deserve to be in. And
Yes, it's true. And even Kimberly and 7A, who are really strong thinkers and strong writers and strong in their missions, need guidance. They needed guidance. I don't know if they really need me now, but they needed guidance to really figure out, like, what is a book exactly? Like, I know this other things. I know how to write these other things, but I'm not really sure how to write a book. Like, how do I get this book into this shape? And that's exactly what this little course is for. And that's exactly what Book Proposal Academy is for. Also, both of these things are to help people across that fuzzy line of like, I know I have it in me, but how do I do it exactly? And that's how I worked with them also.
Yeah. I mean, for Kimberly Ann Johnson, for example, for 7A, for myself, it's like we are coaches and therapists and artists and thinkers and what have you. And that doesn't necessarily, I mean, you could be still a great writer, have a great voice and what have you, but getting it into the book format is such a daunting thing. So yes, you, Joelle, please help. Please help. Please be one of the wagons I support next phase.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that shout out. It's really lovely to hear that. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much as well. So
yeah.
Well,
great. Thanks for talking today.
Anything left? Yeah, I feel like we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, I think it's all super fascinating and interesting, and congratulations on your book. And 2024 will be here before we know it. It's hard to believe, but it's true. It's going to be here. I will just say I am Joelle. I'm at Brooklyn Book Doctor on Instagram. I'm also online at Brooklyn Book Doctor. So got any questions, shoot me a DM. I would love to chat with you, or if you're interested in the program, I would love to have you. And we'll share the link with you. And Ralph, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, such a pleasure. Always.
Yeah.
Every time.
I can't wait to see everything evolving.
Oh, you are going to have your hands in the mix. For better or worse. So be careful what you wish for.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Joelle.
All right,
I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, you too. Likewise. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.